So, my dudes, I got us another MX Simulator training other people video here, and this one's coming in from Julian Wilson, and this is going to be some tricky shitskis because he's sending me third-person gameplay here, and I don't even play in third person, so yeah, that's going to be definitely some fun action here because I have absolutely no clue what's actually going on with that front fender, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't even really see it in third person. So this is going to be very tricky for me to actually tell this dude what he's doing wrong because, you know, I'm not even used to seeing the bike in third person like this. So I'm still going to go in here and try to do it. I still think I can help this guy out to some degree, but you know, if you want to get your maximum sort of help and tips and stuff like that whenever you send in your train me videos to my email address, you might want to try to record those in first person. I mean, you can do it in third person, I suppose, but you know, even if you play in third person, you can go in there and replay it in the demo and actually change it to first person, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though you've played it in third person, you can like go over to first person in the replay demo and record it that way. So I'm just saying, it would be an easier way for me to actually tell what's going on because I can see all those little intricacies of what that front fender is doing, what the bike is actually doing in that sense. I know it seems kind of weird because you would think in third person you could see more of what it's doing, but not really whenever you've gotten so used to how it looks in first person. You get what I'm saying? So, okay, so he says, "Hi, Spencer. My problem is the braking bumps. It seems to just buck me off the simplest tracks, as you can see in the video. I'm a beginner/novice at the game and am planning on getting good at it. Your help would be great. Thanks, Julian." Okay, so the whole braking bump thing, let's just go ahead and get into that a little bit here. A lot of people kind of, I feel like they sort of overdo it in their head. They overcomplicate the braking bumps in their head. Sometimes they'll go in there and try to adjust their setup so much and make it like soft and try to soak up the braking bumps, if you will, you know, as they say it, like, you know, try to soak up the bumps, but a lot of what braking bumps is everything changes when you hit them at a certain level of speed. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, the faster you get, I don't necessarily think the softer is always better. I really don't think that. Braking bumps is one of those things, it definitely is a skill in the game. It's not one of those things where it's just like, oh, well, he has a really good setup, that's why he can hit braking bumps. It's not like that. It's a technique. It's an actual skill to it, kind of like hitting whoops in the game. Like, I can hit a whoop section in this game with complete stock suspension. You understand what I'm saying? It's a skill in the game. I can hit braking bumps in this game with totally stock suspension. It's a technique. It's something you learn over time. It's how you're actually leaning on the bike more so than I feel like it is the actual setup of it. I mean, and that's what I'm saying, though, is like I think some of these beginner, novice, amateur riders, they try to go in there and adjust too much on the, you know, trying to like soften the blow of the roughness, and they don't realize there's gonna be somewhat of that shaken baby syndrome going on here. You understand what I'm saying? There's gonna be somewhat of that, like, shaking your screen to death when you hit braking bumps. Braking bumps aren't meant to be easy. That's meant to be the separator on a motocross track. If you'll start looking at it more of in a way of just, don't give two shits about what your setup is. Just try to hit them. You know, try to hit them good. You really start hitting them faster. Try to learn how to lean a little bit better on the bike and stuff like that. More so than worrying so much about the, like, oh, well, my suspension is not soft enough for them, or this and that and another. I mean, listen, dude, I can ride just about as good or better on braking bumps with a supercross quote-unquote setup than I can like a motocross setup, because the stiffer and the quicker the rebound you make and stuff like that, it just makes the bike more reactive. So, like, in some occasions, you can actually jump through braking bumps and skip braking bumps instead of just skimming over a bunch of braking bumps with like super quote-unquote soft suspension. You see what I'm saying? So if you can just get used to having that bike a little bit stiffer, this is all just personal preference, right? I mean, good Lord, you know, everybody's different, but for me, I'm not one of those guys that tries to make the suspension super, super soft, because it just doesn't help you at a high speed level. You know, you can definitely get in there and make it like too soft where it might feel good going at 20 miles an hour over that whoop section, or, roller braking bump section, whatever it is. But when you start going fast, it's not going to be good, because it's going to start giving you those weird kicks and stuff that you get. You have to have a certain level of stiffness and quickness to the rebound, and sort of give back and reaction, and kind of that you got to have a certain level of I don't even really know what I'm trying to say here. I don't know how to say it. It's like a certain level of the bike's just got to be able to feed back. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't need to just soak every little thing up. It needs to feel a little bit more raw and to the ground, so you can actually feel what the bike is doing and not feel like you're on a total cloud where you can't really feel what it's doing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but either way, let me try to simplify this a little bit here. So yeah, he says it, he's beginner, novice level. As far as just the raw technique of it, some people would think you just lean totally back. I mean, I think it's one of those things where, and this is with a lot of things in MX Simulator, a lot of it you're more just letting the bike do the work to a certain extent. You don't want to just go into like a braking bump section and lean all the way back on it like you think you would in an arcade motocross game. You don't really want to do that in this game. You want to keep more of a neutral position on it. And then if the bike starts to buck and react, you don't want to instantly try to correct it. You know, you don't want to instantly try to overcompensate and try to get the bike back under control. You don't want to do that too quickly. I think that's what a lot of beginners have problems with in this game, especially on whoop sections, is as soon as that bike just barely starts to get out of control, they instantly get rigid on the bike and they try to like fix it. But if it starts getting a little bit out of control, you almost got to let it do its thing, and then you can kind of minutely pull it back around to not totally wreck yourself with it. You got to be a little more loose on the bike. Let the bike just kind of, do what it wants to do. But obviously, if it starts to kind of give you a kick and it's like trying to do something crazy on you, obviously you're going to react on the bike a little bit. You're going to lean forward, lean back, turn a little bit. But you want to do that very, very minutely. You want to just kind of let the bike take it, and once you get to that point where you're able to just hit braking bumps super quick, man, it's like another level. But it's just one of those things that just takes time. That's the only real way to get better at braking bumps. But I know that's one thing that you might not realize if you have not really rode on rough tracks, is you will, you'll get in there on some newer AMA national replica track, and you'll be like, oh my god, the screen is shaking like crazy. My setup must be wrong. Something must be wrong. No, dude. Either you're not hitting them fast enough, number one, or the other thing about that is your screen is just going to shake, period, when you're hitting braking bumps. It's going to feel a lot different than like a smooth stock track or a supercross track. Braking bumps really give you a different feeling and look on the screen, and that's something you just have to accept in your mind. Don't always think that you just have to make the bike softer so it doesn't bounce around as much. You want to have a little bit of that bounce, because that's how at a high speed you can keep that motherfucker under control. You understand what I'm saying? But like at a lower speed, it gets kind of tricky because you're trying to make it softer because it feels a little bit better at first, but then you can't actually go faster with it because then it gets that weird softness, bounce, out of control kind of feeling to it. I don't really know if that's what's going on with your thing right here. These do look like fairly small braking bumps, but yeah, it looks to me like with you, maybe it's just a balance thing. I don't know. You might have something a little bit weird on your setup portion of it that's making it just bounce like that. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what it is here that's causing that. But yeah, it's like you're getting a little bit of bounce, and at the very end of the braking bump section, you're kind of getting squirrely and you ended up crashing here. Maybe. I don't know. It's definitely hard to pinpoint in third person like this, getting a little bit wild like that. Yeah, it just kind of, it's like you kick off that first one. Man, it's so hard. This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to come in here and try to explain to somebody. Because to me, like those braking bumps, like I just fucking ride a wheelie over them bitches, you know? So like to you, they seem like Mount Everest style braking bumps, but to me they look like almost flat. So it's like really hard to like convey to you what your problem is here. Could just be a time thing. Could just be a, you know, see, you kind of got over that fairly decently. You do learn how to really hammer it up to braking bumps and then get on your brakes right before you get into the braking bumps, right? That is a little bit of a skill that you learn there, so you don't hit them as fast, because a lot of times the braking bump section is like a super long straightaway right before or something like that, and so you got to kind of learn how to get on your brakes on that, but you might be overreacting before you even get to the braking bumps. I think that's something a lot of beginners do as well. They're like trying to prepare for them so much that they're not even like neutral on the bike when they go up to them. They're not even balanced on the bike when they go up to them. Let's see. Yeah, you got over those pretty well. I don't know. Let me sit here and watch this a little bit closer here. Okay, so big braking bump section. Yeah, okay. I just saw it right there. So when you come off that very first braking bump, it's like your ass end just shot up to Pluto. I saw that right there. Let me watch it again, make sure that's what's going on here. Okay, here's another section. You might have your rear end maybe a little bit too quick rebound or something. That can definitely cause that back end kick up, right? If you got your back rebound too quickly and certain stuff like that. Let's see. Let's watch it right here. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're going to get squirrely on braking bumps. You understand? Some people just think you can go over braking bumps and, like, the bike's not going to react at all. Like, it's going to react. You understand what I'm saying? That's what, on any motocross track, the bike is going to get a little bit squirrely on braking bumps. It's supposed to do that. I don't know. Maybe you're coming into them at a bit too much of an angle at certain times, like you don't have your bike, like you'll come off some of these jumps right here and maybe you don't have the bike all the way settled from that jump, and so then you're squirrely and then you hit that first braking bump and then you end your life there. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Let's see. So you jump into those. Yeah, see, you're kind of getting it down right here. It's a hard thing to pinpoint in third person like this, dog. It really is. It's tough. I don't know. I mean, you kind of get to that point where this track does seem a little bit bizarre for like a braking bump style track. I will say that right now. Another little setup thing that can make a difference here and makes a difference everywhere in MX simulators, obviously your rider mass distribution, right? If you have that number too low, it makes it to where it's almost like you don't have as much weight on the bike. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like you don't have as much, it's like your weight is not as grounded on the bike, and it makes it to where you don't kind of like go over bumps as smoothly. It's almost like the bike wants to do its own thing over braking bumps. It can definitely do that if you don't have your rider mass distribution high enough, but obviously you don't want to raise it too quick, and obviously you're just a beginner novice rider, but it may be to the point where you want to start working up that rider mass distribution. You know, that may be, and possibly lowering your stability. You wouldn't think so, but lowering your stability over braking bumps is actually going to help you on braking bumps, because it like I was saying before, that little bit of looseness, letting the bike kind of free flow, and if it starts getting a little bit out of control, and then you can bring it back under control, but you got to have your stability at a certain lowness point, or it'll just instantly crash when it has any little upset to it. You understand what I'm saying? If your stability is too high. But when you're starting to work into the braking bumps, I mean, when you're really, really starting to do braking bumps in this game, you're going to have to start doing those just normal, like, progressive setup changes that you make in MX Simulator. Like, all the stuff of, I'm not talking so much even about the suspension, like all of your different, you know, the stiffness of it and compression, all that kind of, you know, rebound, all that. That's not even really what I'm talking. I'm talking more about the stability, rider mass distribution, vertical, horizontal springs, those sort of settings changes that you can make there. That stuff it just makes a difference everywhere in MX Simulator, and you know, that could be the problem as well. Definitely hard to pinpoint here. Sorry I couldn't you know, help you more than I did here, but I will be making a lot more of these videos you know, real soon here, and yeah, they're a lot of fun for me to make. And so either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.